So guys, we're jumping straight into another FaceTime here. We're calling Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV.
Hey.
So obviously last night was quite eventful. Actually, this past 2 weeks for Arsenal has been eventful for you as well.
Hectic night.
Maybe tell us a bit about last night, Pascal. Tell him to be quiet.
What, the game or what happened after?
Well, first maybe give us your reaction of the match. Do you think the boys were had a different level now with the new manager in? And then tell us about after as well.
Okay, well, the game, I thought, it's a really difficult place to go to. We saw the game that they played against Chelsea the other day, and I thought that Everton were brilliant in that game. And I was a bit fearful of the game, if I'm being honest, because, obviously we've got a poor record away from home. It was a pretty dire game. It wasn't the greatest game in the world to watch, but it was a very young Arsenal team, and I thought they played all right. They put a lot of fight into the game, which is something that has been lacking this season. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans would have been happy to have left Everton with a point, because, even over the last couple of seasons, we haven't done well there. We've lost there the last couple of times there. So I think a point was a fair result, and I think, if anything, maybe we slightly edged the game. It wasn't great, but, a point at Everton, I think I'll take that right now. I think most fans would take that.
Right.
With regards to after the game now, the scenes that a lot of people saw is, first of all, is a lot worse than, it looks a lot worse than what it actually was.
Right.
It was obviously a planned thing by a handful of these guys. They saw me before I went in the game. They were trying to antagonise me then. They, inside the game, they were trying to get songs being sung about AFTV, which I couldn't believe. We're there to watch Arsenal inside the game. And then after the game, when they came out, they tried to come over to me, tried to be pointing at me and, trying to intimidate.
Yeah.
Is what they were trying to do, and it didn't work. We've done all our videos as normal. But of course, in the days of we live in an era now of camera phones, so everybody's filming it and that, and it does sort of come across worse than it was. But these guys, they planned it, and it is, for me, it's getting a bit sickening. All of this, I've seen it so many times over the years with football fans. I think it's one of the things that I don't like about football, that you get people, if you don't agree with what they agree with, they want to bully you, they want to intimidate you. I'm not a guy that's going to get bullied or intimidated. And it was just very disappointing to see, that these guys, they came with the intent of doing that. Why wake up that time early in the morning to go all the way up to Liverpool to watch your team play? But that's almost like that's your main thing. That's what you're coming to do. And they've tried to do it before at a home game. But obviously, it's easier to do things like that when you're away from home, because there's, less supporters and stuff like that. But, it was very disappointing. But listen, we move on.
Yeah.
It's not affected me really. Obviously, there's been some lot of headlines made around it, a lot of them that are very false headlines from people that weren't there. I don't like the way some of the mainstream media has wrote this story. Instead of calling these guys out for what they are, which is they're just straight up thugs, it's almost like they're fans turning. It was a handful of guys, So, these are not, for me, these are not football fans. These are just like thugs that, if you don't agree with what they've got to say, or if they don't like something you're doing, they want to come and they want to, as I said, try and bully you. And I just think it's unacceptable in football.
I totally understand. Hopefully now with the new manager and the results maybe start coming in Arsenal's way, you guys can unite again. But we do have some questions before we get to that. So far, can you rate the Arsenal year from 1 to 10, 10 being obviously the best? Difficult.
Well, it's obviously not a 10. It's obviously not a 10, but I think I'd have to rate it. I'd have to rate it quite low if I'm going to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
You'd have to rate it like about 3 out of 10 by Arsenal standards. You know what I mean? All right, maybe 4 out of 10, because you know what? At first, Emery was doing really well. He went on a great run, and it was looking good. It looked like we were going to get into the top 4, which is kind of against all odds. But I felt that we kind of capitulated towards the end of the season when we should really have made the top 4. We had the easiest running out of all the teams going for it. Then, of course, we got to the Europa League final and, did really well getting there. I remember the semi-final, we destroyed Valencia. But then we got to the final, and again, we capitulated in the second half to Chelsea. And it's kind of a bit of a humiliating defeat that was. Yeah. And then the start of the new season, we continued that on. I mean, our worst start to a season since 1977. You can't rate the team highly. The manager's been sacked. Interim manager came in, that didn't work. And then I think, I was a bit disappointed that we took so long to make an appointment in Arteta. And I was a little bit underwhelmed by Arteta. But now that he's in, I'm kind of really warming to him. And I'm thinking that actually this might be a really good move. This might be exactly what Arsenal need. Not your Ancelotti or conventional names like that. Somebody who's going to come in and be fresh. So overall, I'd say 4 out of 10 for Arsenal. But I'm feeling a bit more optimistic going into next year now that Arteta's come in.
Right, fresh start. Okay, so tell me who's been the best player so far for Arsenal and maybe the most disappointing in your opinion?
Best player, it's got to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He got the Golden Boot last season. Despite being in a team that was not the greatest, and he's continued his goal scoring into this season, even though in a lot of games we don't provide him with enough service. But Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been superb. Most disappointing player, I'd have to say probably. There's a lot of them. Maybe if I'm going on this season, it might have to be David Luiz, because I know it's a bit of a gamble bringing him in, but I thought he'd be a bit better than he's been, and he's been very disappointing. However, he did have a good game yesterday, so I'm hoping that might be a bit of a turning point for him. But Luiz has been a bit disappointing. Granit Xhaka, again, another guy had a good game yesterday, but he's been a bit disappointing this season as well. But you know what? There's been so many disappointing players. I think it's even unfair to just pick one out. There's been so many of them that has just not been, Mesut Ozil's another one. He's just not lived up to what the expectations of him is. So there's been quite a few.
Fair play, fair play. Okay, so for the rest of the season, I want you to predict where Arsenal will finish in the table. Very difficult question.
Now that Arteta's come in, it's still going to be a struggle. I don't think we're getting to the top 4 now. I think it's unless we went on an amazing run, but I think it's going to be too difficult to do that now. I think even the top 6 is going to be difficult now. I'd say about 7th, if I'm being honest. And that would represent quite a recovery, when you consider where we've been this season. So I think it's about just stabilising this season, Arteta coming in and stabilising. And then when he gets to the summer now, then hopefully he can start rebuilding this team, And that's why, as I said, I'm a little bit more infused about Arteta, because I'm starting to look on it and think, Arteta has like a long-term vision to this guy, And he looks like I know it's easy to say that because we've not really seen him in any games yet, and it's a lot of talk. But so far, I've been quite impressed with Arteta.
Who should Arsenal buy? One in January and then in the summer transfer window. Ooh. Top pick.
What if we could have anybody? Van Dijk.
Van Dijk.
We need the problem at Arsenal is I think is in defence. So we need a commanding centre back. We need somebody like a Koulibaly, we're not going to get that person. But if I could buy somebody right now, it'd be like Koulibaly from Napoli to drop into our defence. We need a commanding player. And then I think any player that we buy in the summer, I think we could do is also with a ball-playing midfielder. But I want a midfielder that's going to be, and also a defender, that they have to have leadership qualities. I think that's one of the things as well. We've been buying a lot of players, and the players are good. But I want to see Arsenal buying some players that are leaders on the pitch, so that when when things get tough, those guys can lead us through those really tough situations. So players with leadership qualities. But Koulibaly he'd be my first. You just drop him into that defence. Because that is Arsenal's big problem, defending.
Yeah, he's a presence, domineering. Well, thanks a lot, Robbie, for stopping by, and good luck in the future here.
Listen, Merry Christmas to you guys, and keep up the streak. 24 hours, you guys are good. You got some stamina there.
Could be a long time, Robbie.
You still have 20 hours?
Hey, look, I'm going to be bald by the end of this.
But Merry Christmas to you guys. Thank you.
See you, man. All the best, Robbie. Bye-bye.